feels empty now. The pain builds up inside. I tried so many times to imagine that you're here. Pretend you're coming back, pretend that you're still near, but it's no use now. You've moved on, but just remember this: you got a piece of my heart. So please remember me, my love. Don't ever wash away those tears we both cried. And as we go our separate ways, I remember you each day. And maybe one day you'll return with my broken heart. Another lonely day, another sleepless night. I wonder what you're feeling and who's now by your side. I wish I could have changed the way the story goes, rewrite my life with you, and whisper one more time, amore mio, ti amo. 'Cause it's not easy to move on while I'm still so lost in you. You've got a piece of my heart, so please remember me, my love. Don't ever wash away those tears we both cried. And as we go our separate ways, I remember you each day. And maybe one day you'll return with my broken heart. This heart of mine belongs to you. You're so deep inside my soul. When two hearts beat as one, don't ever let go. Baby, just remember this: so remember my love. We both cried. And as we go our separate ways, I remember each day. One day you return with my heart someday. So please remember me, my love. Never wash away those tears we both cried. So never wash away those tears each day of my life. One day you return, you'll return, you stay in my life. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
And I say hello everybody, here is Giada Valenti in Las Vegas. 92 days together. I see a lot of you there already appearing. 92 days of COVID-19 every day together. It's 2 p.m. of course here in Las Vegas. I know it's 5 p.m. for you guys on the East Coast, 4 p.m. Central Time in America. I've learned all these things, about time zones. And of course, buona and quasi buonanotte per voi che ci guardate dall'Italia, dalla Francia, dalla Spagna, 22 for you guys in Ireland and England. And good morning to all in Australia. I see a lot of you already there in Australia, waking up either 5 or 7 in the morning. Today is going to be an amazing day. In sign language, this is the sign for today. And my guest today is amazing. Of course, she's Italian, from the booth of Italy, do you remember? She's not from Venice, actually, like me, but from pretty close to Venice. We will be asking her exactly where is her heritage. Adriana Trigiani, we all know her as, of course, the multi-selling, best-selling author, of course. Their book has been translated in so many languages. We're going to be talking about it, but, of course, she's also an amazing superwoman, I have to say. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a movie producer. She does everything. I'm sure she cooks, she does everything. So, and she finds the time even to spend time with us. Before we go and invite Adriana in, of course, I see a lot of you appearing. Hello, guys. Yes, today in sign language, my guest, she's a writer. Actually, she's so much more than that, but this is a sign for a writer. Of course, I am a singer, and she is a writer. I was born and raised in Venice, Italy. We're going to see where my guest is born and raised. Of course, she's in New York City today. Before we invite her, she's a busy woman. She has to do so many things in a day. I think she is another one that, just like me, 24 hours is not enough. Days should be like 2 days in one. But anyway, before we introduce her, and yes, Guy, you are excited. I can see that on this. Let me read something about her. I make research, even though she's a friend. I mean, I was impressive to find out even more things about her. My guest today is Adriana Trigiani. She is beloved by millions of readers around the world, and it's really true if you follow her on the social media. She writes dazzling novels, and she is the New York Times best-selling author of 18 books. Yesterday, remember I said 8, and I was like, no, that's not a good number. 18 books in fiction and non-fiction. She has been published in 38 countries around the world, so probably you all know her wherever you are in the world. New York Times calls her a comedy writer with a heart of gold. How beautiful is that? And they call her book Tiramisu for the Soul. You know, tiramisu is my special dessert to make. I'm the queen of the tiramisu, and she is the tiramisu for the soul's writer. Amazing. We'll be talking about it. She wrote the blockbuster The Shoemaker's Wife, a beautiful fictional story about her grandparents emigrating from Italy to America in the 20th century. We'll be talking about it. And of course, Adriana is also an award-winning playwright, television writer, producer, and filmmaker. She adapted a best-selling novel, Very Valentine, for television, directed by Larry Saninsky and starring Jacqueline Bisset, yes, the famous Jacqueline Bisset, and Kellyn Coleman. And in 2018, she also directed the future film Then Came You, written and starring by Kathie Lee Gifford, our beloved Kathie Lee, and Craig Ferguson. And they filmed the movie in the islands of Scotland. I know a lot of people from Scotland watching today. Adriana wrote and directed also the film adaptation of her debut novel, The Big Stone Gap, shot entirely in location on Virginia, her hometown in Virginia. Yes, that's where she is coming from. And with an all-star casting, among them Ashley Judd, we love her, Patrick Wilson, and Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, the lady herself. Adriana's nonfiction includes the instant New York Times bestseller, Don't Sing at the Table. I haven't read that one, but I want to talk about that one because it sounds very interesting. And Cooking with My Sister. She has a sister, apparently, Mary Trigiani, and they wrote all this book together also with sister and mom. Sounds like something I would love. And Adriana, of course, has been a regular on NBC Today show for over 15 years with Kathie Lee and Hoda. I've seen her many, many times there, and so many other shows. And in 2015, she appeared in The Italian Americans for PBS, where she featured scenes from her award-winning documentary Queens of the Big Time, which I have not seen, and I want to ask Adriana where we can see this one. I remember seeing that on the Italian American on PBS, as I was part of the same series myself, so we will talk about it. And it's about her father's hometown, Roseto, in Pennsylvania. She's a proud Italian American. Well, she's a wonderful mother and wife. I don't know how she can do it all. She's a superwoman. She's a super Italian woman. And I met her only a few times, I might say, but every time I'm around her, she's the one, she's the person, you know, that you feel like you know her already and you want her to be your best girlfriend because she makes you feel happy. She makes you feel good. Well, without further ado, she is today with us, and that's a blessing, and I'm very grateful to her. So, Adriana, are you there?
I'm here.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
I'm doing so well, Giada, you beautiful, beautiful girl. That opening, I was crying when I hear you singing.
Oh, you are so sweet, and you're a beautiful
It's true.
soul yourself.
I've heard you sing live several times, and you always blow the roof off the room.
Well, I do it by singing, you do it by writing. I tell story with my son, and you do it with your amazing, amazing book. Yesterday I said 8, but actually, how many books a year do you write? 18? I mean, you are 19 years old, so.
Well, right now I'm working on my 20th.
Wow.
So, and I wrote a children's book this past year. Those come out like a year after you write them because of the artwork being done. And then in betwixt and between, I write movies. So I can write one book a year, usually. That's what I do.
Wow.
One a year.
We know, I studied your whole life yesterday, but many people may not know. Can you share with us, how was little Adriana, the little girl? Can you tell us, when did you find out about your amazing talent to be such an amazing storyteller?
Well, I loved my teachers, and I loved school, and my mother was a librarian, and my father was, he had a garment factory. That's what he did for a living, but he was really an artist on the piano. So there's a lot of music in my family life.
Wow.
As there was in yours, Giada.
Yeah.
So little Adriana was a devil. She was always in trouble.
So you think that just like for me, music was the savior? Writing was a way to escape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't separate myself from the work. The work is me, and I'm the work. It's like you. When you sing, it's the song. It's the message, the story of the song that you're imparting. And you're the instrument. And the same is true when you're writing.
So would you say, because I guess as a writer, you have to spend a lot of time with yourself, sitting there, waiting for inspiration. I don't know. Do you wait for inspiration? And what is your daily routine? You sit there and you write every day? How is
7 days a week.
Wow.
7 days a week. When my husband and my daughter are sleeping, I'm working. I say 8 hours a day, no matter what. That includes all the research and all of that. I'm not a crazy person about it, but I have learned that the discipline of the form carries you. I believe in deadlines. I believe in setting aside the hours to work. And I believe that if you do that, you will have a result from it.
Well, you surely have a result, because no matter what you write, it's always a best-selling. So what do you think is, because I read that it's true. I'm not a big novel reader, but I remember when Christina Krause years back, she introduced me to you, I started to read them. And of course, if you read the first, you need to have the second. It's like a drug. So what do you think makes your writing addictive?
I just try to tell a story that I believe you don't want to put down, and creating characters that have such dignity and strength and purpose that you want to be with them on the journey of the story. And of course, I think about it now, and I just set out to tell the best story I can, so I'm always listening to stories. I have a list of books I'd like to write. I don't know. I'm hoping that I last so I can write them all, but I have more ideas than I have years left to write.
That's amazing. I have a question for you. I'm very curious. Like you said, as a singer, I'm a storyteller. I tell most of the time songs I write myself, but
That's right.
I sing songs of other people. So I'm always like you, very curious. Very, very curious. So I always say it's something that is a good things about me and also a bad thing, because sometimes I spend trucks of hours of times googling, trying to find out as much as I can about something I'm very interested. How do you deal with it? Do you give also a deadline to yourself to how much you want to go deep in something? Because we can go deep centuries about things. And
Well, my mom was a librarian and a great librarian. And one of the things that she taught me is that you never you never stop researching, you never stop reading. So Giada, I don't limit myself. So if I go down a rabbit hole reading about one subject, then I suddenly will get all the books around that subject. You know what I'm talking about. If you heard, Etta James do a song, and then you're going to want to hear, before you sing it, every rendition of that song to see how the stylist interpreted it. Same with my research. My next novel is so research rich and such a great story, you will love it, because it takes place in modern day Italy and then goes back in time.
oh, beautiful.
So yeah, you're going to love this one. And so because I was so fortunate to direct a movie in Scotland, thanks to Kathy Lee Gifford, who wrote it, and then Kathy starred in it with Craig Ferguson, I exposed myself to like new and different stories, and I found Italians in Scotland.
Wow.
So it's the story of them.
Wow, it's impressive. Well, one thing that I really, I was born and raised in Venice, Italy, and I didn't came here until 15 years ago. One of the things, I think you have been one of the first person I met through the Order of Sons of Italy. And I'm always say, even when I do interview in Italy, we are born and raised in a country like Italy, which is a spectacular country, I never felt any kind of pride about being Italian. Then when I came here, I met people like you and people like most of the Italian American people that are so proud of that heritage, and you guys made me so proud of what I am. So I have to thank you for that. And you keep in the theme of Italy and honoring also women in your books. Who has inspired you in your life to as a woman to be so dedicated? Because I love women that love other women, and you are one of those. So
I'm one of those.
yes, you're one of those, and I love you for that.
For sure.
So who inspired you? Who were your idols when you were a little girl, professionally and maybe also as a person? Who did you have around?
Well, first let me start with my family, because I had two glorious grandmothers, and one is actually Venetian, from the Veneto.
Oh,
From a
wow.
town called Godica di Sant'Urbano is the name of the town. It's a little bit above Treviso.
See? How beautiful.
And then the other grandmother was from the mountains of Italy, in the Lombardy region above Bergamo.
See?
Scilpario and Vilminori. My grandparents met in America in Hoboken, New Jersey, but they were from villages 5 miles apart.
Wow.
And that's the story of the Shoemaker's Wife, okay? So then my grandfather is from a town called Roseto Val Fattore, which is close to Foggia. It's on a mountain.
See?
And I, of course, visited there, and the book Kiss Carlo is based there. So I write about every place that we're from. There's the Shoemaker's Wife. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. And the opera, that one's for you. That's just you all over the place. So when I go in there, when I go to Italy, I'm just going to tell you a quick story. My mother passed away 2 years ago, and I had the opportunity to go honor her uncle, whose name was, he was a priest, Don Andrea Spada, who was the editor of the L'Eco di Bergamo, which is, is a very superb Italian newspaper in northern Italy.
Yeah.
And he was the editor there for close to 40 years. And so they were going to honor him, and they were going to show my movie Big Stone Gap. So I went by myself in the dead of winter. And I had what I would call the most spiritual experience, Giada. Whenever I go to my grandmother's village, I never want to leave. I have a terrible time leaving, but of course I have to come home. And I found such peace there spiritually. It's very cold in northern Italy in the winter. As well. And I slept in a ski lodge with the doors open. My family lives like across the way, but I stayed in this place, this wonderful place, and I left the doors open. And the room was cold, obviously, but I wasn't cold. I was invigorated by it. And then I would go to sleep and wake up to the church bells in the morning. And so I think for me, the Italian American experience is an extension of the Italian experience. And our pride comes from the layers of what, Giada, when I met you, I was so impressed by you because it takes such guts and courage, no matter how talented you are, and God knows you're brilliantly talented, to come here and to make it work and to find employment and to become the person that you're supposed to be. Now, that to me is the ultimate, because I compare you to my ancestors who did it and did it successfully. So I know that that's important to you too.
Thank you.
But what is it? Why does everybody want to be Italian? Why, everywhere I go, I don't care where I travel, they love the Italian people. And I think it's a very simple thing, is that the Italian people know how to live. And everybody's seeking a better way to live. And what's interesting in this pandemic is that the Italian ethic of la tavola, the table, as the center of the home, we're understanding that this is the center of our lives. So if you are a happy person with the people you love the most, and this includes extended family, of course, and it includes your friends.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Italians don't know a stranger. Come in, sit down, enjoy, eat. And many cultures share this.
Yeah.
But the Italians have made it an art form. Now, I have a lot of other reasons I think that the Italian people are so exceptional. Part of it is they welcome the immigrant. It is a country that is constantly roiling in the hands of time, affected by, and Giada, in your own family, there's people that came over from France, and then they go back to France, and there's people that came from Scotland on vacation, well, they married in. It's this constant churning of different cultures in this extraordinary culture that has music and history and life to it. So the pride that you glean from the Italian American people is a connection to those values that made them. And we recognize and see them in you, because now really you're an Italian American.
I mean, I always felt that I'm a citizen of the world, but of course when I came to America, I was not aware, and in Italy we are not much aware of Italian American people like you, that there still are Italian in everything, because I look at you, I see you talk, you are Italian. You use your hands like you're conducting an orchestra. It's something that we have. You put lipstick, you see, that's something we Italian, we are very proud, the way we have to look in front of the camera. We have to...
La bella figura.
Bravissima. It's so, but did your grandparents teach to you, or you had it in your DNA?
If you met my mother, Giada, first of all, she would have loved you.
I would have loved her.
So would my father, and he probably would have said something inappropriate, as was his way.
that was mine too.
Because he would have thought you were gorgeous, and which you are. But my mother you would have loved, and she would have loved you because you were simpatico. My mother was dressed to the nines every day. Always dressed up. She told me you only have to put on your sunglasses and lipstick when you go out, but do it. Put your lipstick on. So we do. We care about that. And we also are very appreciative of all forms of beauty. An older woman to us is a goddess.
Yes.
Our grandmothers to us are the most beautiful women that ever walked the face of the earth. Our mothers were our supermodels. So let me start with that. I would say that. Now let me talk a little bit about the Italian American artists that have so deeply affected me.
Yes, please.
Let's start with Helen Berolini, the great novelist. Pietro della Donato, remember him, Christ in Concrete. As I go through time, some of the, the great filmmakers. Of course, I love Martin Scorsese,
Yep.
but I also love my friend Annabella Sciorra starred in her movie Nancy Savola.
Oh.
She wrote. She's a writer director. She's fantastic. If I start like naming names, and I'm going to leave people out, but you can see even when I cast a film, it's very important to me to get that Italian Nate view in there. So Tony LaPaglia, Anthony LaPaglia, I love him. He's my brother, was in Big Stone Gap. And here he is, an Australian Italian, I guess an Italian Aussie.
Yeah.
And he played a small town Appalachian guy. But that's the Italian way. There's no song you're not going to sing. There's no part you're not going to play. You're going to give it your best shot. So I guess I'm talking a lot about a lot of different people, but I was so deeply affected. Our friend Sonny Grasso, one of the great storytellers, when we went up to Rayo's, we would, the great Frankie Pellegrino. I mean, he would burst into song. And that's the kind of home I was raised in. There was a lot of arguing, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But there was also a lot of joy.
Yeah. I want to ask you, because, I mean, you are such an amazing writer, storyteller. Did you always add the passion of do something? Because for me, any of your book is a movie. When I read, I see everything in pictures and music, and if I read one of your books, that's a movie. I can see the picture is so well detailed. Did you always add this in you, this passion to direct or it just came by coincidence? How did you get enrolled in that?
I grew up in a small Appalachian town, Big Stone Gap, where there was a lot of artistry. So I was able to watch people direct plays.
Oh.
So when I went to college, I became a theater major and I wrote plays. And I really wanted to do Broadway.
Huh.
And I got very lucky because a lot of my plays were produced and I did really well, but you couldn't make a living. And I got this wonderful opportunity because a couple of girlfriends of mine were looking out for me and they said, get an agent and get to Hollywood. And I did.
Wow.
When I was young. I was in my 20s and I went out and I did a screenplay that I was paid for. Then I got television pilots. I have the same agent that I had then. In New York, it was Wiley Howsam. Then it was Nancy Josephson, who worked together. Same people in my life. And Suzanne Gluck and Ruth Pomerantz. I can see them all, almost like I'm walking down a hallway, because they cared and they saw in the work, they saw my potential.
That's nice. Can you?
So I'm a theater director from the beginning. I always directed. And to become a movie director, Giada, as a woman, and I'm not even, because obviously I will do anything, so you know that I don't say I didn't get the opportunity, but it is not only a boys' club, it's a rarefied boys' club for certain people. And that is ending.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm not dead. So when Kathy Lee asked me to direct your film, I jumped on it because I thought, she's got a great idea here, and she's passionate. And those are the kind of people that I work with. Ashley Judd, I don't know if you know, her father was Italian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she brought that Italian-American woman in a small Appalachian town to life. It's truly one of the great performances on film. Patrick Wilson. To make that movie, it's like you make a family. Does Whoopi fit with this one? Who fits with Jane Krakowski, who fits with Tony LaPaglia, who fits with Jenna Elfman and Paul Wilson, and then you just make this beautiful Jasmine Guy. I called her up out of Atlanta and I said, you got to play the part of this kid's mom, and she came, and that's how I like to do things. So if you're on board to work really hard and follow the vision, and if I'm on board to listen to people smarter than me, like Craig Ferguson, for example, then we're going to make something extraordinary. And in fact, we do. So my goal now at this part of my life, I write my girlfriends who are producers in Hollywood, and I say, hey, TikTok, we got to get these movies made.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm looking at it like, what are the possibilities? And I know you're that way, Giada, because you're a ray of sunshine. I think probably more than me. But I'm always looking like, what can we do? Just us talking today with your friends from around the world to me is so exciting. I can hardly stand myself.
I always say it's a beautiful word, and COVID-19 for me has been an experience in the way that I know, for me as an Italian, so I'm sure for you too, the social distance is like a killing thing, because we are not. But in the other hand, I got closer than ever to myself and to my fans. I know you also care very much about the people that love your books. So you to communicate with them. I don't even know how you find time, Adriana, to do it, but we are really humble. You really put yourself in discussions also with them, like I do all the time. I ask if they have something they want me to do, if they don't like something. Do you think that this kind of being humble and being disposable to them, being close to them, has made you so? I mean, I always say, when I sing, for instance, I said it honestly, it makes me feel great. Singing for me is like I'm in my best moment in life, and I'm blessed and lucky that I can project that happiness and good that I feel with them. And of course, I call it a blessing. Is it the same for you? Do you? I mean,
exactly the same. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. And Giada, I will point this out too. As artists, it's our higher selves. It's the best version of us. I remember you once coming out on a stage in a gown. I couldn't figure the gown out. It was so big and gorgeous. And I thought of Fellini's peacocks in his movies. That beautiful, it was like a teal. It was like this color that nobody wears. It was peacock blue, I believe.
Yes, it was in Washington. It's true.
There were pieces. And you came out there, and I thought, she's an earth angel. She's bringing her A game. And what you do for us is you raise us up. And we need that. It's like somebody wrote on Instagram, and I thought this was genius. They said, look, during the pandemic, you think you don't need art in schools? What music are you listening to? What movies are you watching? What plays are you watching? What podcasts are you listening to? Every person needs to feed the soul.
Yes.
And I believe that's where beauty comes from. That connection to God that is your soul. There's no fear where there's love. When I could not, now I told you the story about the mountaintop.
Yeah.
That's minutes away from Skilpario. Those are my people. And when that pandemic first hit Italy, and it was in the place where I go to find myself,
There was stuff.
I have been every day ever since praying about it, because there's something there. Why there? And so, and of course we know none of us are immune to tragedy, but I felt like somebody was sending me a message and saying, pay attention. And all the lovely things you say about me, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, but I really feel that the only point to writing a book is for you to enjoy it. I could sit here by myself and write poetry no one will ever read and be completely self-satisfied. But the joy, if I can give you any solace, a tiny bit of whatever wisdom I've heard along the way, because God knows I'm not wise.
You are, come on.
I don't think so. That all comes from people I talk to. I think I'm a good wire between the sparks, the electricity going through. I'm good at navigating that. But the wisdom is in the people I have met and the people I was raised by, and the Italian aspect of this for me is not just fundamental, it's essential. And you know, I for a long time I thought I wasn't going to get my citizenship there, and I might do it. I had a hard time with it because my grandparents gave up their Italian citizenship to be American. But now I feel I'm going to get in the Giada Club and kind of be a citizen of the world and understand how much I love my country. I love the world too.
I think we're a whole citizen of the world, as you said, especially we Italian, because we have so many influence from everybody. We welcome everybody. But, and I mean, you give all these compliments to me. I'm always say you are, we are both involved with many of those Italian American organizations. And I'm always say they should give even more honored and welcoming and space to people like you, because you really are the epitome of what Italy is all about, being Italian all about. You write these beautiful stories that everybody, blacks, white, Chinese, your book has been translated in how many languages, Adriana? All over the country, right?
38, I believe. I think it's gone up now. But you know, Giada, the happiest thing is the group Taya in Milan publishes me now.
Oh, cool.
So, and they are exquisite publishers. They did Queen of the Big Time, Lucia, and the Shoemaker's Wife so far, and it's been one of the great, beautiful relationships.
Do they change the title into Italian?
Yes.
Oh, so I have to make sure that all my amici in Italia, they know the Italian title, but of course they can Google Adriana Trigiani, ragazzi, e trovate tutti i libri di Adriana.
They can find them. They're on their, they're in their bookstores there, but they're on Amazon. It's Italy, Amazon. You can see there too.
The documentary, The Queens of the Big Time, I know you filmed it in the 90s, right? With something you found.
That's right, 1996 it came out, and we're about to, Giada, I had to change all the music in it because because of rights. We had it cleared for the festival. Then it won all these prizes. So I am in the process now. We're going to crack it open, and I might do some work on it. It's about my father's hometown, Rosetta, Pennsylvania, that was featured in the Italian Americans.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a very important story there about how to live.
Yes, that's what I love about your books, that they are novels, they're easy, but there is always something deeper. There is something that we can learn from things. And for me, COVID-19 has been an experience because I've learned so much. I found so much time to learn things. And I think reading, it's something that really opens up the imagination. So if there is a young girl out there, I know that there are some of my listeners watching with their kids, and is dreaming to have a career like yours, and she's dreaming to be a writer. I mean, you said it, for a woman, anything it's extra tough
for us.
My
Italian cousins told me that I would never have had this career in Italy.
It's true. That's the sad thing, is that Italy, it's a beautiful country, but it's difficult to make a dream come true, because we are more a close. Sad to say, I have friends that have amazing talent. They have not been able to do what I do. But you know, also another thing, Adriana, I think you would have been able to do it in Italy because you have a different spirit in yours. You're willing to sacrifice. And I sad to say, a lot of my friends that are not living their dream lives is because they are not willing to sacrifice. They are willing to, they're not willing to even move 2 hours from their hometown to live their dreams. You probably would be like me. We have something in ourselves. I mean, I really, when I came to America, it wasn't easy for me. It still is not easy for me. I'm out of my job right now. There is no concert. I'm struggling sometimes, but still I'm happy that I'm making the decisions I made, because somehow I think I'm doing something for myself to make my life worth of something. And Italians, sometimes we are in Italy a little bit arrogant, and lazy. We want to have the la vita facile, we say, the easy life. So I think you would have been, because you went to Hollywood, you said. I'm sure you were not living in a big villa. You maybe, I spoke yesterday with Tom.
I was in a furnished apartment.
Yeah.
I saved all my money like you do.
Yeah.
I was really careful, and I took every job I could take. So I was working on a TV show, and then I was writing pilots on the side.
Yes.
And a lot of my friends don't even know I did that, but I did it because there's no point in talking about a television show that didn't go, you know.
Yeah, and that's something in Italy.
The Italian thing is interesting, though. What was explained to me and what I observed are very interesting things. I feel, and by the way, at first when I was published in America, they said, change your Italian name and you'll be a hit in Italy. But you're not going to be a hit with that name.
Oh.
And I said, well, I'm willing to wait for the right situation where my name is my name and it can be used. And here's the great thing, and you're like me in this way. Give me the criticism. I'm going to take it in. It's going to make me better, or I'll shrug it off. It'll be one of two things. But women in Italy, what I find, Giada, is that they're exhausted. They work I find that they work very, very hard. And it's different for the boys.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, I remember when I first went to Italy back in the 80s, I went up to a bunch of guys on a street corner and I said, hey, don't you have jobs? There are no women here. And they laughed. And the whole thing about how they live at home with their moms.
That's the thing.
Why would you leave your mother?
Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you, Giada, my mother was a brilliant woman. She had 5 daughters and 2 sons.
Wow, 7 kids.
And when her sons walked into the room, I'm going to do an impression of my mother. This was my mother. She had the face. She saw Jesus. She saw the face of God.
The boys.
When we walked in, she'd say, oh, my arm hurts, or get me some tea, and I'm this, and I'm that. We were the scullery maids, and my brothers were the anointed ones. So maybe it's genetic.
I think
now, I
so.
have a daughter, so I don't know. I probably would have been that mother with, look at my son. I probably would have.
You're absolutely, yeah. I mean, I said it all. I'm the only child to my parents, but I have a cousin that is like my brother because he didn't have a mother, and it's true. He's just like untouchable. And to me, and everything can be thrown at me, but no, the boy, no, he needs the car, he needs this. I said, what about me? Oh, yeah, you're a girl, you don't need that stuff.
Yeah, they assume that we're pretty tough, and in fact we probably are.
Yeah, we probably are.
But for me, it's been this journey as an Italian American author. Listen, there are biases against Italian Americans, and you have to cope with that.
It's true.
You have to cope with it. It's all right.
But and in the other hand, I mean, I had this discussion in the last couple of months with some of my guests about Tony Orlando. I think I was talking to Tony Orlando that he said...
He's Italian?
Yeah, no, it's actually Greek and Hispanic, but he is married to an Italian woman, and he loves all the Italians because he said the American history in the movie, everything is Italian. Frank Sinatra, Francis Ford Coppola, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Adriana Trigiani, and the list is also, we have wrote, let's say, all the things that we
haven't even gone into sports. We haven't gone into
forget about
it all, or the Franco Harris of it all.
Yeah. So he was just, he was impressed about the Italian creativity. Actually, he said that he's working on a play or something about portraying all these Italian-American icons that everybody sees as America. But he said, honestly, are Italians, he said. Connie Francis, come on, but like you said, they all Americanized their name, but hey.
Right.
But we didn't, Adriana, me and you.
We kept our names, Giada.
We kept the name. And
there's a lot of talk in Italy too about immigration and so on and so forth. And this is a very lighthearted story I'm about to tell, but but it shaped the way I feel about race and Black Lives Matter. I know they matter to you, they matter to me.
Yes.
And everything in the world started in Africa. Every human being, every story, every aspect of human endeavor began in Africa.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this story. So I'm a little girl, and my father's watching a football game, and it's the 1970s. And my dad said, come here, I want to show you somebody. And so he's watching the game, and he said, and the player took off his helmet. Clearly a very handsome black man. And my father said, that's Franco Harris. And he said, he's Italian. And I said, no kidding. He must be Southern Italian, because my father looked, like. So my father said these words to me, which shaped me on race to this moment.
Yeah.
He said his father was an African-American soldier, a black soldier in World War II, who met this beautiful young Italian woman. They fell in love, and he brought her back to America, they're Americans, and married her. And then he said 3 words, and the 3 words that I reflect on now when I see any injustice. My father said, isn't that fantastic? Isn't that fantastic? Because an Italian woman and an African-American man built a beautiful family. And one of the people in that family was Franco. So I got to meet him, and I was going to tell him the story in private, and then I had to get up to speak after him, and I told that story to a group of Italian Americans.
How was the reaction of people?
It was a very fancy event.
Hmm.
And I thought, I'm going to tell it. I didn't. Deafening applause.
Yeah.
Italian people are good people. Sometimes, and we all make mistakes. But
Yes.
that, isn't it fantastic?
That remind me that one of the first time I performed in New Jersey was a big Italian-American event. And I was performing with my musicians. At the time, only one of my musicians was white, and all the other was Sadi Zain, which it was white, but he's actually from India. So he's white, but he's India. He looks like George Clooney. I was always saying he was the brother of George. And all the other were really black African American. So, me, I'm funny on stage. So I remember at this big event, and I said to all this Italian crowd, I said, let me introduce you my musician, Sadi Zain on bass. And I said, he's from Milan. And then I said, this one, black percussion player, said he's from Naples. And this is from Sicily. And the good things about Italian America, after the show, they came to me and they said, this is amazing that you brought all your Italian musicians from Italy. And I was like, how great is that? They didn't see the colors. They just believed what I was saying. That's the way the world should be. We shouldn't see color.
It's at its cellular level, it's a ridiculous.
It is. It is. It is.
No matter who it's against.
Yeah.
That includes women, and that includes, any nationality, any color.
Any color, religions, cultures, doesn't matter. I always say, my grandfather used to say, ci sono 2 tipi di persone, the only 2 kind of people, the bad one and the good one, which should be the only difference. Think about it, right? Because how do we divide people, the good and the bad? Talking about something that I want people, all my people there writing all their comments, you do also something live on Facebook, right? On social media?
Yes.
When is it, and when can we catch it, and what is it? Tell us about it.
Tomorrow night, you at 6:00, you can hear be about an hour or more with Amor Tolls, who wrote The Gentleman from Moscow.
Okay.
Giant. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of books he sold. Next week, John Grisham.
Oh, cool. And is it 6 p.m. on Facebook?
Yep. And you can just go to my Facebook page and join it.
Yes.
Then you'll get announcements. And usually they're Tuesdays at 6, but during the pandemic, I've upped it because the authors need, first of all, to be out in conversation and with people, and we have a really strong group that shows up. So it's shocked me, Giada. I've been doing it 2 years, and you're getting hundreds of thousands of people watching it now. And I don't, it's like your show. It's just, you're doing a beautiful job. It's just who you talk to, what you talk about, and books, like music, except for your live performances, have survived the pandemic.
Yes. Yeah, actually it's been good, I think, for books. People are reading. I hope they're reading more than ever because now there is time, ladies and gentlemen. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it's 3 p.m. for
Eastern
us.
Standard Time, 6 p.m. And you just go to see my name down
Adriana
there
Trigiani.
on Facebook. Just sign up today.
Yes.
And then you'll get an announcement, and you'll come in and watch.
And I have one question before we say goodbye. The Queens of the Big Time. Can we see it somewhere, the documentary? When it's going to be ready after you change the music and all?
Giada, please invite me back on the show when that movie comes out, because we're going to, now you can platform it.
Yeah.
It won all these awards, and I never sold it because I wanted to redo the music. So now I'm redoing it. So
if you need any music, let me know. I sing anything for you.
I'm going to tell you, we're going to work together. We're going to figure it out.
Are you going to use original music of you?
Out.
I know. Anything with music, I do it. And I have a question, of course. You wrote also a book with your sister about food. There is always a question in my show before we say goodbye about the food. So how is Adriana? Are you magical also in the kitchen?
I love to cook. I'm a terrible baker, but I'm a good cook. Co-written with Adriana Trigiani, and the recipes came from our grandmothers and my mom. And then there's Luciana, Antonia, Francesca. You can see their names all there somewhere.
Yes.
And we updated it and added recipes, and it's a knockout. It's just, but it blends our traditional Italian heritage from the Veneto. The recipes are different. The Lombardy region, the Barese region, Bari, way down south, and then we bring in the American influences. So the Appalachian food. There's a couple of casseroles in there that are fantastic with the tip of the hat to where we grew up in Big Stone Gap.
Cool.
Certainly recipes that meant a lot to us as children. So that's what we focused on. So you have your gravy, you have your sauce, you have all your different kinds of pasta. You have and Giada, I know you're going to know this recipe. This recipe is now over 300 years old in my Venetian side of the family, because they were farmers. And it's called the Perrin, which is Perrine in Italy, family buttermilk cake. And it's in there, and it's got kind of a crumbly top on it. And I know it's from your childhood, somewhere in the Veneto, but it's a beauty.
A Saturday I do always a cooking demo, so I'm going to see if I can find one recipe of your book, and I can teach everybody how to make it.
Why don't you do that? Well, you'll find the Venetian. There's a pasta in there. These are all my grandmother's, the Venetian one, her recipes, which were very different.
Yes.
My father preferred Christmas Eve with the 7 fishes with the Southerners, but the Venetians, they would fast.
It's true.
So every other year, even though his parents were well married, they went from one family to the other, and he was like, oh no, it's the Venetian year.
My family, my mother, she's from Venice. My father is from Priverno in Provincia di Latina, so it's between Rome and Naples. So we have the same situations, 2 different culture, 2 different kind of food. So in everything, they are just inseparable, but so different in the food, in the music, in the movie choice.
Unbelievable.
So me and you.
I can't believe anybody gets along, but they figure it out, don't they?
And then if you separate them, there's gonna be the end of all, because they are so. That's what my husband JJ always say. They're always discussing, and then when they don't see each other for 10 minutes, they're like, "Where is she? Where is he?" That's.
This happened to me this afternoon with my sister. She just get up and
Oh,
leave.
she's there. Adriana,
Because I gotta go. You know.
you're such a joy to be around. I really hope that we're going to have more opportunity to see each other. I will advise everybody, if they haven't done it yet, to buy all your novels. They're going to get addicted. Because, as I said, novel is not even my things to read. And when I started to read one because of Christina Kraus, I started to read them all. I have to have the recipe book and the one that I'm missing a few, Adriana, but I didn't know you had 18.
If
So
I'm in New York, you know, when I go back home, because I'm in Rosetta, Pennsylvania right now, but when I go home, I will send you everything. Don't you worry.
then I'm
There
going
will be
to.
no holes on that shelf.
I let you know which one I'm missing, so you can send me the one I'm missing. So make sure that I don't have double one. And I mean, you're such a joy. And just one little question before you go away: do you still have one big dream that you still have to fulfill? I made you think.
Well, I want to live for an extended amount of time in Italy,
Okay.
and I'll be working from there, but I want to live there.
Any preference, north, south?
I think it would be on the mountain above Bergamo. I think it would be in the north, but you know, once you're there,
Yeah.
you just drive over to Venice,
It's
you
true.
drive down to Rome, you can get to Capri. You know, I love Capri so
Beautiful.
much.
Beautiful. Well, Adriana, I mean, I hope you're going to fulfill also your dream, but of course we're going to be missing you here in the United States. Every time we are in New York, if we don't see Adriana, actually I saw you lately in January. I was in New York for the last time, and there was an event with Joe Piscopo, which by the way today is his birthday, and you were there at the
Happy
restaurant.
birthday,
Happy
Joe
birthday to
Piscopo.
Joe, yes. And you were there at the restaurant, but you upstairs at, what is the name of the restaurant, JJ? At Patsy's.
Patsy.
You were there, and Joe was doing the.
Wasn't that Frank Sinatra's favorite
Yes,
restaurant?
exactly. And I tried to come to you, but there were like 10 people all around Adriana. So I said to Jeja, I'm going to see her another time. But you were there and everybody was around you. It was nice. I did. So, but it's always a joy. I mean,
That won't happen again. We'll sit together.
next time we'll sit together.
The celebration of Frank Sinatra's birthday.
There we
whenever
go. Yeah. And if you ever come to Las Vegas, you have a sister here.
I'm going to visit you.
I am the only child, but now I have a sister.
You do. Always and forever. Do you know it?
I love you.
know.
This is the sign for I love you in sign languages that I've been learning. So
Love you.
I love you, or I love you. And I want to thank you for your time. I know you're the busiest woman on this planet. Keep writing those beautiful stories. We all love you for that. And I cannot wait to see what is coming next for you. So God bless you.
You'll get the first copy. You and Chrissy Kraus.
There we go. She's watching, by the way. So we love you, Adriana.
Love you, Chrissy.
We love you,
She connects
Chrissy.
all
Yes.
of us.
I love you, and thank you for this time with us, and best of everything. And I'll be watching you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. on Adriana Trigiani's Facebook. We're all going to be there. We love you.
Love you,
Thank you
honey.
so much.
Take care.
Thank you. You too. Was she amazing? Oh, what? I told you, I know you guys have been loving these 92 days of time together, because you said my friends are amazing. I mean, they're amazing human beings. So far, we have discovered that every person that is very successful in whatever they do, they are so passionate, they are so humble, they're so kind, so nice, like Adriana. As I said, she's a joy to be around. I hope you guys... it's not difficult to find her. Actually, if you see her, she's very approachable. So if you ever see Adriana, make sure that you tell her that you love her. She will love you back. So guys, this was amazing. And of course, I put the events at the birthday of the day at the end, because I didn't want it to take away much time for Adriana. You know, she's a busy bee. She's probably already cooking or writing. Who knows what she's doing, right? So thanks to Doug Hartline, our living Wikipedia, who is there in Sacramento, California, we have also today the birthday, the events of the day. And thank you guys for all the comments that you are writing. I'm going to answer to all of you later. So today is June 17, and this is what happened in history today in June 17. In 1579, Sir Francis Drake, one of the great maritime navigators in history, also helped kickstart the English colonizations of the Americans when he landed in what is now Northern California today in 1579, 1579. That's a painting of it. Drake was undertaking the second circumnavigation of the Earth when he landed to the Pacific coast of the Americas. He claimed the entire territory for the English crown, naming New Albion. Go figure. He only stayed there for a few weeks before departing, and while the English had no ability to maintain a colony on the American Pacific coast, the claim was not followed up, but it served to legitimize the idea that England could and should colonize the continent. People are still not sure where he landed, Doug is saying, but it's presumed he didn't land far away from where I live, Doug is saying, which is Port Reyes in California, just north of San Francisco, my favorite city, one of the white shark capitals of the world. People go to this beach that we are seeing on the picture all the time without having any idea that this was where California was discovered. I think it's so important to know the history of where we visit and to have great respect for those that came before us. So true. And today in 1931, Mumtaz Mahal dies during childbirth. Her husband, Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan I, then spends more than 20 years building her tomb, the Taj Mahal. There it is. Look how spectacular it is. Perhaps the greatest monument ever built to one's wife. I agree with you. And today in 1885, the French gift to the United States to mark the centennial of the American Declaration of Independence from Great Britain, the Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, arrives today in New York City aboard the French ships Isère. I think that Lady Liberty is one of the most beautiful views of New York City. I love it. Actually, from my first apartment on 1 West Street, I could see it from my roof deck, which was impressive. In 1947, the Pan Am Airways became the first passenger airline to schedule a round-the-world flight, leaving San Francisco and arriving back to New York in 56 hours. That's a very whole plane with the propellers. Oh, that scares me. Today, in 1967, the one and only Barbara Streisand performs her Happening in Central Park, her first live album in front of 135,000 people. Look what a beautiful gown she's wearing. In 1917, Edwin Land patents the Polaroid camera. Doug is saying, just think how far we have come since then with the cell phones cameras. But weren't they amazing at the time? Yes, I remember those Polaroid, but they were losing color after a little bit. That's what my parents were complaining about after they spent all the money to buy the camera. And in 1971, Carole King's album Tapestry goes to #1 on the USA album charts and stays there for 15 weeks. She was such an incredible songwriter, as we know also for my interview with Tony Orlando. Doug is reminding us because of her Broadway plays Beautiful. Also about her, we know about the music. If you have not seen that episode with Tony Orlando, go on giada.live and you can learn everything about also her. And today in 1973, another one of our favorite, Dolly Parton, records her song I Will Always Love You, the country version, of course, for RCA Nashville. Later, of course, we all know became a huge hit with a version of Whitney Houston. And birthday of the day, in 1691, Giovanni Paolo Panini. This is a funny one. Giovanni Paolo Panini is an Italian painter and architect, was born in Piacenza, Italy. He worked most of his career in Rome and is primarily known for one of his vedutisti, view painters. As a painter, Panini is best known for his Vistas of Rome, they're very famous in Italy, in which he took a particular interest in the city's antiques. We talked about Rome a few episodes ago. Among his most famous work are the view of the interiors of the Pantheon, one of my favorite building, and is vedute, which means painting of pictures gallery containing views of Rome. Most of his work, especially those of the rooms, have a fanciful and unreal embellishment characteristic called capriccio. I've learned all this stuff at school. It's nice to remind me back the time. Which capriccio means basically architectural painting with some fantasy view. JJ shows the other one that you just showed, JJ. You can see all of that is not really true. It's not a real painting. It's just a fantasy, and it's called capriccio. capriccio painting in the Italian thing. Doug was laughing because he said the panini, he thought he was the inventor of the panini, the sandwiches, which is funny enough, they've been also invented in Italy in 1960, the panini, the sandwich. But they have many fathers, Doug. I found out, I will say to Adriana that I keep Googling stuff, so you make me Google until late at night this. A story goes that the bread and close convenience food known as sandwich is attributed to John Montagu, 4th Earl of Sandwich, in the late 1700s, a British salesman and notorious gambler who is said to be the inventor of this type of food so that he would not have to leave the gambling table for his supper. He's the first inventor of the sandwich. And some other, they said, of course, is the sandwich, as we know it more as a toasty, is credited to Thomas Edison that invented the pressing for the toasty in 1930, but the people didn't like it, so the invention went forgotten. And in 1974, Breville didn't realize that Thomas Edison had already invented it. They reinvented the toaster, the one that we know. Now I can say personally, JJ, show again the picture there. So, panini in Italy or panini imbottiti are those one on the left and the right, and the other one are tramezzini. As you can see, they are not toasted. So I can say the panini, they were invented in Italy, and then the toaster maybe were invented by here in America by Thomas Edison. Okay, and the toasty are more kind of a French things anyway. So, during 1903, Ruth Wakefield, going back to the birthday of the day, American inventor who created the Toll House cookie, which is basically the first chocolate chip cookie, was born in East Walpole, Massachusetts. They are my favorite cookie, Doug is saying, and so I had to pay tribute to her. I love her too, also with milk. That's the heart, by the way, is Ruth Wakefield and her daughter Mary Jane when they invented those cookies. How great invention was that? And today, in 1904, Ralph Bellamy, American actor who played leading and supporting roles over a career of 62 years and was nominated for an Academy Award, was born in Chicago, Illinois. His final film role was in Pretty Woman, from which we are taking that pictures, one of my favorite movies. Today, in 1943, Barry Manilow, American singer and pianist who was born in New York City, turns today 77 years young. He has many hits, and of course next week I'm gonna have as my special guest Ron Dante. Ron Dante, of course, was the voice of the Archies in Sugar Sugar, do 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 do. But he actually has produced the first 8 successful albums of Barry Manilow. So next Tuesday, make sure to tune in, and we will talk more about Barry Manilow for sure with Ron Dante. And today, in 1951, Charles Joseph Piscopo, we mentioned with Adriana Trigiani, known as Joe Piscopo, American comedian, actor, musician, writer, and radio talk show host, was best known for Saturday Night Live with Eddie Murphy, was born today in Passaic, New Jersey. To me, he's also a dear friend, and I've sang together with him many times, of course. Here are some pictures, and I've been many times a guest of his radio show, Piscopo in the Morning at AM 970 The Answers, every morning between 6 and 10 a.m. So tanti auguri Joe, tanti auguri and many more. 100 anni, come dicono a Napoli, e lui è napoletano, is Neapolitan. And one almost at the end of the birthday, 1963, Greg Kinnear, American Award-nominated American actor and talk show host. The Talk Soup, Sabrina, As Good as It Gets, and You've Got Mail. Little Miss Sunshine was born in Langensport, Indiana, and turns 57. One of his movie, my favorite movie actually, where he plays a leading role, if you haven't seen, is Flash of Genius, is a true story of an inventor and the legal battle against Ford Motor Company. I suggest you watch it. It's called The Flash of Genius. I really loved it. And today, in 1964, the twins Diane and Erin Murphy were born in Encino, California, not far from where we are, and turns 56. Not familiar with their name was Doug saying, perhaps you remember the Tabitha Stevens in Bewitched. I happen to remember that because we had reruns in Italy. They had to use twins for babies in all television shows because of labor laws limiting the number of hours they could work. And those two twins were identical. They look a little bit different right now. But happy birthday to the twins, Diane and Erin. Last birthday of the day, 1966. In the world of fashion, one of my favorite designers, Tory Burch, American fashion designer, is born in Valley Forge in Pennsylvania and turns 54 years young. Look at her. So, What a day it was today. Of course, we didn't got a chance to talk about the concert, and I have a great news. So June 26th, concert close to you with Daniel Emmett from America Got Talent. 2 shows live streaming, one at 12 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. I have a great news. Many of you wanted to buy both tickets, but you said, I already know I'm not at home for the first, or I'm not at home or the second, or it's too late for me to watch them both. Well, we have been talking to the people at the Space here in Las Vegas, and if you buy your tickets, you're gonna have 24 hours time to watch the show. So let's say you can buy tickets for both and watch them in the 24 hours after the time of announcement. So you have 24 hours after noon to watch the first one and 24 hours after the 6 p.m. show to see the second. So no excuse now, guy can buy both tickets for both shows. They are similar but not identical. We're gonna switch on and off many of the songs and the stories, and of course it's a live show and it's gonna be different. And of course I will be very grateful if you can buy both of them, because I wanna have you all of there with me, my circle of love. And of course, you know, this is my new way of making a living and surviving myself. So I'm gonna be able to have some food to cook every Saturday for you. Talking of which, I'm preparing some delicious recipe for this coming Saturday. Many of you were asking, can we please do something with no carbs? So I'm working on something delicious with no carbs so we can lose some weight, all of us, or stay in our current weight if we are already perfect. And that's it for today. I would just say go and buy your tickets for close to you at thespacelv.com. I know there is no limited spaces, but you want to have it so you know you have it. And if you have any problem with the page, I think everything is being solved, just let me know. And remember, 24 hours to watch, so no excuse to say I can't watch it because the second show is in the middle of the night. You can do it now, and I know you're gonna do it, guys. I love you. This is the sign for I love you all, friends and family. And I'm gonna be seeing you tomorrow. With my special guest, a singer, a beautiful singer, Lina Prima, the youngest daughter of Louis Prima, the greatest Louis Prima. She's an amazing human being. I want to thank again Adriana Trigiani. Thank you guys for watching and for all the amazing comments. And watch Adriana tomorrow also at 6 p.m. East time. And I'm gonna say ci vediamo domani. My voice is a little bit better but not completely there, but it will be for the 26th. So vi mando un bacio e un abbraccio, e ci vediamo domani. Same place. Giada from Las Vegas, a domani. Ciao!
Dankeschön, dear old Dankeschön. Thank you for seeing me again. Though I'm here in my solitude, I know you are there, and in my heart I smile again. And so I sing here in my solitude, waiting to see you, same time, same place, and I can't wait to say again, Dankeschön, 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 dear old Auf Wiedersehen. See you tomorrow. A domani.